Merry Christmas and welcome to the Reptile Barn Storytime Edition. So, we were thinking about what kind of special vlog we could make for Christmas, and we had been talking about a bunch of stuff, and something came up, and we wanted to talk about it. So, today I will be sharing with you, and I can't believe we've never done this before, kind of my story in reptiles, my origin story, if you will, and my biggest reptile influence. So, without further ado, I have always liked reptiles. I've always loved reptiles, in fact. Growing up in Alaska, I always thought that the two worst things about living here were, one, there were no reptiles, and two, there's no NBA teams. Everything else about Alaska, absolutely love it. But anytime we would travel to visit family in other states, I was always out looking for reptiles. Mostly only ever found garter snakes and things like that, but I just loved it. So I would say when I was 8 years old-ish, my parents surprised me at Christmas with a corn snake, a baby little corn snake. It was epic. They wrote out this big, intricate search through the house, with clues. And then I saw the tank, and then I saw the little baby corn snake, and oh man, that was a fundamental moment of my life. And he was sweet. He was a little baby, and looking back now, I realize I lucked out that he was already super chill. He wasn't squirmy, he wasn't nippy, nothing like that. He was just a joy. I named him Teep. In my little kid brain, I wanted to name him Pete, but then I thought, well, that's a person name, so I turned it backwards and called him Teep. That's how that went. So anyway, that was my first pet snake. I'd held snakes before that I'd caught, wild snakes, but I'd never had a pet snake before. So that was my first snake. And I loved that snake, man. Obviously my parents helped in his husbandry up till, when I was a teenager. I could do it by myself, but yeah. So I was happy to just be a snake owner for years and years and years and years and years. I had my one snake, right? Fast forward to college, okay? And I'm sitting in maybe a mammalogy class, something, a major class of some kind in my conservation degree. And I heard some TAs talking, and they were talking about, careers within our field. So these were master's students who were, going into upper level conservation studies and things like that. And one of them, out of the blue, just mentioned, "Oh, I've heard that there's some reptile breeders who do pretty well and can make it into a career, right?" And instantly, my brain just was intrigued. Whipped out my phone, started Googling, and I had never thought about it. And immediately, I was like, "How did I not think about this being a thing?" I see reptiles in the pet store all the time. They can't all be wild caught. And even then, someone's got to go out and catch them, right? So I should have realized, of course, there's people breeding them. I knew there's people breeding dogs and cats and fish and horses and farm animals, but I just had never pictured someone breeding reptiles. I didn't know what that would even look like. So I found, all the big, this was only 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe. Yeah. So it was 7.5 years ago, really. And I found, Snake Bites, Brian Barczyk's old channel. I found Nerd, Kevin McCurley. I found some of those old timers, and I was just intrigued. Learned about rack systems. They looked so strange to me, and all the controversy around that. Quickly discovered that I was drawn to ball pythons. And I approached a couple of friends about starting up a little side hustle kind of reptile business. Immediately, what I first did was I came home and I talked to Liz and I was like, "Hey, should we abandon all our plans and become reptile breeders?" And she's like, "Yes." And so we kind of did. Um, I ended up finishing my degree. I was really far in already, but we decided to approach my brother and his, at the time, fiance, Yoshimi, and asked if they would be interested in being partners in all this. And they were all in. Yoshimi likes animals fine. She had never probably planned on being a reptile breeder. But now she likes the snakes. She especially likes the lizards. But they were interested, so we went ahead. We went home that summer for work and built a rack. It was a horrible rack. It was just the worst. It was in our little bedroom there, just at my parents' house. We started working. So once we had all our equipment ready, we had ordered some frozen mice. I growing up with a corn snake, I just kind of thought, oh, snakes eat mice, right? I wasn't thinking about the girth of a ball python. You read they're 3 to 5 feet long, just like a corn snake. I just wasn't realizing these things are going to need a lot of mice. And we found Fred Kick's website, Kick's Balls, just an epic name, right? And we discovered the desert ghost gene. By this point, I had probably spent 300 or 400 hours online reading everything conceivable on their husbandry, their breeding, all the morphs, where they come from, their natural habitat, the opinions and some of the controversies about different things. And we ordered this visual desert ghost from Fred Kicks and 4 het females, 3 of which were also spiders. Okay? And looking back, I think we made a pretty smart initial choice there. We started with a recessive that was a hot project. We got them all as sub-adults, so we didn't have to wait so long. We didn't realize Desert Ghost was going to be so big and awesome like it is now, but we really liked the look of it. We liked some of the combos we were seeing. Decided we did want to start with a recessive project. We ordered our snakes. We got them in. It was all smooth. Put them in the racks. They immediately were escaping from the racks. And we didn't know what we were doing constructing that thing. So we tried a new iteration. One slot they were still escaping from, so we fixed it up again. We made adjustments to the baby rack we had built because we didn't want to start breeding until we had like everything. So we had a little incubator. We were just using a little foam hovabator at the time. That mostly used for poultry, although it worked great for us with our clutches. Anyway, so that's what we did, right? And after about a month, and we spent maybe $3,000 on the snakes. After about a month of taking care of them, really liking them, we went in deep. We were so excited about these animals and potentially breeding them. The females were already 1,400 grams when we got them there in the spring. And so we thought, they could make it up to size. And 2 of them ended up being big enough that we were confident enough to breed them. And then we also got, a month or 2 later, we decided to get another little group. So we picked up Charmander, who's our male ultramel. We got 2 big normal females. We started getting, how it works. Lots of you guys know how reptiles, they seep into you, right? So we ended that summer, I think, with 9 snakes, and 4 of the females were big enough to breed. So we bred Greg to 2 of them, and then we bred Charmander to 2 of them. The 2 normals, right? So we make some het ultramels. We had our two favorite recessive projects. We were just, oh man, were we excited. And then in the fall, me and Liz went back down to school out of state. We were at BYU in Utah. And Caleb took over full care of the reptiles. He also is kind of an obsessive reader, so he knew what he was doing. He helped us all summer as well. He started breeding mice for some of the smaller snakes. We did end up ordering some rodents, or some rats, because we realized that that would just be better. And we had 9 big snakes at that point, so we didn't want to be, feeding off 50 mice every single week just to take care of 9 snakes. Anyway, so we went back down to school. Caleb was breeding them, and I finished my last 2 semesters. No, yeah. I did fall semester and then winter semester, and graduated. We had 3 kids by this point. We were busy. Liz was working. I was working. Also school more than full time. It was a blur. Looking back, no, I don't sleep now, but I really didn't sleep then. Got back up in the spring, and not too long later, we got eggs. 2 females laid pretty close together. One of the het desert ghosts and one of the normals. No, sorry. 2 het desert ghosts. Neither of the normals went that year. It wasn't until the next year that we produced some het ultramels. Yeah, so one of the spider het desert ghosts and then the het desert ghost. I miss those snakes. They actually are with a friend of ours now. We sold them to a really good guy who's a breeder. But I miss those snakes. I would take them back in a heartbeat, knowing what I know now about just the sentimentality side of this. But he's taking great care of them. He's breeding them. They're making beautiful babies for him. But anyway, we were shocked that we got 2 beautiful clutches of eggs. We had, I think, 12 eggs between the 2 females. And, we were doing this to breed, but actually getting eggs, walking in one day to do our snake check of the day and seeing a beautiful pile of eggs, we were ecstatic beyond all belief, right? And that started our business. It did. When those babies pipped and we saw some visual desert ghosts in there, and it was just incredible. And our very first sale was one of those desert ghost babies, a little female. And we still have 2 of those babies. Three actually. One of them we actually gave to my sister, but she ended up buying more snakes and everything too. She breeds her females though, and we've gotten babies from them. But 2 of them are still here. 2 big female visual desert ghosts that are breeding this winter, and bred last year too. But that launched our business. It really did. We made back our investment that year. We had put in our several $1,000s the previous year, and we sold enough snakes to make it all back in 1 year. Now, we immediately were buying a lot more snakes. So it's not like we were paying ourselves anything. Every single penny for 6 years really of breeding has gone back into the business, okay? That's just the real side of starting a business without a business loan. That's just how it goes. But that was our beginnings. A real condensed version, right? I know I'm skipping details. But the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys that I think is important, and I feel extra grateful, here on Christmas, and I wanted to tell you guys this. I hear a whole lot of young people come into the hobby because of big YouTubers. Snake Discovery, Clint's Reptiles, Prehistoric Pets, Brian Barczyk. There's tons. I could name a lot, and you guys could probably name a lot too. And that's fantastic. These people who are promoting the love of reptiles to millions of people, right? Their generation would tell you about Steve Irwin and some of those types. Who Steve Irwin, one of the most superb promoters of wildlife and love of wildlife that there's ever been, right? And I loved Steve Irwin growing up too. But for me personally, and for my wife, and for Caleb, I don't know about Yoshimi, um, but at least for three of us four partners, Chris and Martin Kratt. Okay? Some of you are going to laugh. You're going to think, the Zuboomafoo guys? But from my young childhood, um, they had different shows. You know, they did Kratts Creatures. They did Zuboomafoo. Now my kids are watching their Wild Kratts. There was another one in there they did. I don't remember what it was. I never actually watched that one. Apparently it was for like the oldest audience of any of the shows that they did, so I would have loved to see it. But those two guys absolutely head and shoulders inspired me into reptiles and just love of animals more than anybody else. Absolutely a huge influence for me. I cannot overstate that. They really, their friendliness and energy and their just sheer joy looking at all these animals and teaching about all these animals. I just, man, I gravitated to that so much. And I thought, man, how do you get a job like that? How do you just travel around the world, play with animals, and film yourself doing it, and make a career out of it? How do you do that? Well, they did it. And I stayed interested in animals, especially in reptiles, my entire childhood, my entire youth, throughout all my other interests, you know, sports and all that. Always, I was a reptile fanatic. And I really do put a ton of credit for that onto the shows that Chris and Martin Kratt did on, you know, PBS or whatever they were on. But I just wanted to bring that up. I feel like, you know, Christmas is a good time to share gratitude, and I just don't know if without them teaching and inspiring and showing animals constantly, daily basis, I was watching their stuff. I don't know if I would be doing this. I feel like I have just an intrinsic love of reptiles already, but having it be part of my upbringing, seeing people have a career surrounded by wildlife was huge for me. Huge for me, right? And I think that a lot of people feel that way about whoever their kind of idol was. You know, a lot of people would say Steve Irwin, and Steve Irwin was also awesome for me. But I would say that the Kratt brothers for me take the cake. So I just wanted to share some of that with you. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. We have a lot more awesome vlogs coming up. We've got some cool stuff to show you guys. We have some really big plans for the new year. I don't want to spoil anything, and you know, it's nothing like earth-shattering or anything, but I hope that you guys will stick with us for another year. We have been blown away by how much you have helped us grow our channel this year. I know we're still a little guy, but we're starting to be able to reach a lot of people, and we are so grateful for that. And yeah, whether you're a celebratory type or not, I hope you have a spectacular day and a Merry Christmas. And until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.